Catch a scripture, beat down. If you wanna fight, see what we building here, not call this a construction site. Here's
to get everyone's undivided attention, please. Okay? All right. And you all should know who I am by now. If those who don't know who I am or forgotten my name is Brother Anaya. Beside me today is Brother Thomas.
Hey.
Right, he will be my reader for today. Brother Shamar, as you know, some of you may know, is in the States, visiting. So we won't be able to see him for this Sabbath and also the next Sabbath. Okay. All right. The lesson that I have today it's a hot topic. Why I say it's a hot topic? You got one camp. You got different Hebrew camps, right? You got different Hebrew camps. We all have the Bible, but some of us interpret the Bible differently, right? You have one camp in particular, though. When I touch on the subject called rape, you have one camp that believes that rape is okay. Okay, and we're gonna go into the scriptures to see if that's true. Because you got this one camp, and I'm telling you got many Israelite camps, but there's this one camp, and believe me, you go on YouTube, they stick out like a sore thumb. Because concerning this topic of rape, all these other camps have a problem with this one camp who think that rape is okay, and that you can deal with like 9-year-old girls. Right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they believe that the white man and the white woman is the devil, but a lot of them are shacking up with white women. A lot of these men from this Israelite camp, but they think that the white man is the devil, the white woman is the devil. So why are you shacking up with the devil? Why you sleeping with the enemy? You know what I'm saying? So they're contradicting themselves. Okay, so let's go into the scriptures and see what the scripture says about rape. All right? Okay, follow me here. Follow me to Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter and the 23rd verse. And let's get our base here. Deuteronomy is going to be our base. We're going to always go back to Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, as we go on in the lesson. Because this is our base. This is what we're going to build on. This is what we're going to use as our precepts as well. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 23. Okay, read.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her.
Hold on. As we go into this, I want everybody to carefully, just intently, everything that we're reading, let it register. Because it's very important. Okay? Start over again.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you.
Okay, hold on right there. Yeah, start again. We're going to break it down slowly, but start again. Verse 23.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband.
So it says, if a damsel is a virgin, meaning a woman of marriageable age, or a young unmarried woman, according to the definition of a virgin in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. If she is betrothed unto a husband, meaning that she's being engaged now to be married to a man. That's what betrothed means. She's being prepped and primed now in courting with this man, getting ready to become this man's wife. Read it again.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die.
So the scripture is saying that if I see a woman, or if a man sees a woman that is ready to be engaged, or is engaged to another man, ready to be the wife of another man, and the man sees her in the mall somewhere, and goes, okay, hey, what's going on, and tries to pick up that lady and have intercourse with her. Read 24.
Then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die.
So this was unlawful for any woman that was engaged to be the wife of a next man, and another man will come now and try to have intercourse with her. And if this was found out, the penalty for both of them would be stoned to death. Read 24 again.
Then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city.
You shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city. Read.
And you shall stone them with stones that they die.
And you shall stone them with stones that they die. Read.
The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city.
The damsel now, reason why she's guilty, because she didn't scream out. She didn't say, help, stop, somebody's raping me. She kept her mouth shut, and it's like she consented to it. So she gets the same penalty as the man that lay with her. Both of them are going to die, being stoned to death. Read.
And the man, because he had humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you.
So this is how we were able to put away sin from the children of Israel. When people would see this example, these two being stoned to death, everybody would get in line to say, no, I don't want that to be me. This is how we were able to get sin out of the camp. Read.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field.
So now it's giving you a different scenario now. Start again.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
Read on.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her.
Stop right there. That's why you can't do nothing to this damsel. That's why now only the man now is going to be punished. Why? No. Just like the scenario before in verse 23, where the woman didn't cry out. Now you got a woman now who is engaged of becoming the wife of a man, and another man now is trying to be with her, and she cries out now. She cries out, and this thing is found out in the city. Now that man now, he alone is stoned to death, and not the damsel. Why? Because she cried out. She did not want this. She wasn't consenting to this. And it's just like you meet a man having a neighbor and just going and murdering his neighbor without a cause. The same penalty for that man who does that is death. So when you read verse 24, verse 26, read verse 26 for me again. Read that again.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death.
She didn't do anything wrong. Why? Because she screamed out. She didn't consent to it. Continue.
For as when a neighbor riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, Even so is this matter.
Even it's the same matter. It's the same punishment. Right? Read.
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her.
So she cried out, but there was nobody to help her, to stop this brother from forcing her. Read.
If a man find a damsel that is a virgin.
Stop right there. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin. What's a virgin? Anyone?
Age.
Say that again.
Woman married under age.
All right. Or?
Woman who hasn't been touched.
In certain instances, yes. In certain contexts in the scriptures, yes. And you know what? I'm glad you even said that, because I'm going to prove that too. That a virgin also could be a woman that has never been touched by a man. It's a woman of marriageable age. It's a young unmarried woman of marriageable age. But it depends on how the context now you're using that word virgin. When we use it in now, going back to the virgin birth now, we see the scenario. We know that Mary, she was a young virgin. Why she was a young virgin? Not because she never dealt with any man. No, she dealt with men. She dealt with Joseph before she was supposed to do the customs now for her to really become the wife. And have the tokens and everything presented to the father. So we know that Mary was called a virgin. Why? In that instance, she already dealt with Joseph. Now, a woman can also be a virgin and have not been dealt and has not dealt with a man too. But it's in the context you're using it from. And I'm going to prove that too in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, where it gives you that definition. But as I said, as we go on later in the lesson, I'll be able to expound on that more. But let's move on though. Read 28 for me again.
If a man find a damsel,
give me the chapter and verse. Give me the chapter and verse.
That's Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28.
Okay, read.
If a man find a damsel that is a virgin,
a young woman, a young unmarried woman, or a woman of marriageable age, whether married or not. Read.
Which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found.
And they be found. Read.
Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife. Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days.
Read.
A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt.
So now when we read verse 28 and 29, right? To some now, it might look like, say, oh, well, hey, it's justifiable. Because he gave the father 50 shekels of silver. Right? So it looks like this man finds a young unmarried woman and he lay with her. She didn't cry out. Right? She didn't cry out, meaning that she consented. And now she goes to the father. And now the man goes to the father. And the father found out about this now. The father found out about this. And now everything is okay now. Now the woman is become the man's wife. So when somebody's looking at the scripture now, they would look at it and say, well, brother Nye, what are you talking about? This is okay then. That means that, hey, if I get a woman and I force myself on her and she don't scream out, then she's my wife. And guess what? The scripture is not saying this. This is actually wrong. And I'll tell you why it's wrong. Okay? Why? Because two of these people, they're both co-conspirators. The virgin, the young unmarried woman, and the man, they're both consented. Let's break it down. Read 28 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found.
So if a man find a damsel, that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, meaning that she's not engaged to be the wife of a man. Okay? And lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found. So this man now lays hold upon this woman and lay with her now, and somebody finds them. The scripture says what? And they be found. So what they were doing, they were in the field somewhere, and somebody caught them doing this, and then you hear this woman scream out. This is saying, the scriptures is telling us that, listen, she consented. She, at first, this is probably why she wasn't looking for it. She was probably just in the field by herself, and then this guy just came walking out of nowhere. Hey, what's up? And just lay with her, and whatever he showed her, she was like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened in this scenario. So it's showing us that they both consented. But this is not how it's supposed to be, though. We know the proper customs. What's the proper customs according to the Israelite, the Hebrews? You got to go to who?
Father.
There you go. Okay? There you go. Read 29 for me, huh?
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 29. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father.
The damsel's who?
The father.
The damsel's father what?
50 shekels of silver.
There's your dowry. There's your dowry. What the Most High is trying to do now is to make this man now, who committed a sin against the law now, is a way now to bringing him back now to do it the right way now. To correct him now. To say, listen, the way how you did it is not not according to the law. According to the law now, you're actually supposed to go to the Father. So he tried to bypass that part. Full circle, he had to come back around to that part and go to the Father and pay the dowry. So he's trying to show you that the law still stands. The law still stands. So you can't just do whatever you feel like. Read 28 for me, 29 for me again.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 29. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife.
Then she shall become his wife. Now, why? Because now the proper customs now have been done. This is the right way now. Read.
Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days.
Okay, because he have humbled her. He has made her low now. He made her feel degraded now. Like to the point she felt like, okay, hey, all right, I have no power. That's what happened. But she consented to it. She could have screamed out, but she didn't want to. There must have been something that she liked. And I'm just saying, I'm looking at this and I'm reading it from, as we deal in society today as a whole. And, we got little sisters, being promiscuous that, they pretend like they don't want it. And, in my younger days, I've seen this. Not saying it's right, but these are the things that I've seen. And, they don't know this guy from nowhere. And this guy can just touch her one time. And that's it. Done. That's his girl. And she'd be like, yeah, that's my man. And they only met for like an hour. So that's how I'm looking at it, and that's what the scriptures is trying to say. But the scriptures is telling us that there's a proper custom. So when you read the 28th verse, it's not telling you that rape is okay. Because now it's going around, it's bringing the man right back around now to the proper way of doing the customs of the Hebrew. So it's not okay. Now we got this particular Israelite group, and as I said, I ain't even gonna call nobody's name. You probably come across them on YouTube. Okay, and when they see this lesson, they'll probably make a video about this lesson, which is fine with me. I know they subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is good. I'm glad that they're learning. It's a blessing. All praises to the Most High, right? Sometimes to justify now, they'll use this scripture to justify the rape, and then jump to another scripture now. And one of their favorite ones that they like to go to is in Judges. concerning the tribe of Benjamin, when Benjamin was almost wiped out as a tribe. And Benjamin, then for them to reprocreate again, they had to get themselves women. And we're going to go into that. So we're going to be doing a little bit of reading today. So just bear with me though. But let's get the reason why we're going to do the reading. Let's get the full context. Let's see exactly what the book of Judges is really talking about concerning the tribe of Benjamin and them not being wiped out as a tribe, but them still being a part of the 12 tribes of Israel and reprocreating again, or reproducing again, having children, offspring, so that that tribe wouldn't be wiped out. We're going to go into that. So let's go to Judges 19. Let's get the proper understanding to what Judges 19 is saying. We're going to read Judges 19, verse 1. Bear with me here. Like I said, who likes to read? This is good. This is your time.
The book of Judges, chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him.
She was being promiscuous. Even though she belonged to this man, she wasn't his wife, but she was his concubine. You know, she had a couple of other guys on the side. Read.
And went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him unto her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodged there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father...
Wait, read 7 again. Read verse 7. 1 moment.
Okay. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again.
So the father-in-law was loving this guy's company. He didn't want him to leave. A day would pass and his brother's getting up to leave, and he's like, nah, listen, stay some more. Right? Read.
Verse 8. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him.
So the man was like, listen, I'm not staying here one more night. Thank you for your hospitality. Goodbye. Okay? And he took his concubine, his servant, and his asses, and he left. Read.
Judges chapter 19, verse 11. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah.
So this man would not go into another city of a stranger. Why? Because he was a Levite. He was of the tribe of the children of Israel. He was of the tribe of Levi. So he would only lodge into a city that belonged to one of his fellow brothers, which would be from another tribe, who was of Israel. Right? Read.
Verse 13. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way. And the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin.
So he went to a town or a city that belonged to the tribe of Benjamin. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 15. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him down in a street of the city. For there was no man that took them into his house to lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah. But the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou?
So this man, after he went into the city of Benjamin, the Benjamites them didn't welcome, say, Hey brother, you're from the tribe of Levi, come, we got a room for you. Benjamins were like, Nah, who the hell is this guy? You can't come in here. Benjamites were cold. And it had to take another man that was sojourning, that was from another country, that had a lodging in the city of Benjamin, that was able to welcome this man or put a roof over this man's head. Okay, read.
Judges chapter 19, verse 18. And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim, and from thence am I. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah, but I am now going to the house of the Lord, and there is no man that receiveth me to house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servants. There is no want of anything.
So this man already had provisions, not only for himself, but also for his asses that he had, his livestock. So all he just wanted was a roof over his head until the next day to be able to be on his way. That was it. Read.
Verse 20. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me. Only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial.
These are wicked men. When you see that word Belial, it means wicked men. Read.
Beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him.
And this is another thing. Not just because we know somebody's an Israelite, that don't mean that, okay, they're good people. You got some wicked Israelites too. Keep that in mind. You're going to meet up on some cold-hearted, evil, wicked Israelites. The Bible calls them zealots. They were the rebels of the children of Israel. Read.
And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing that this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what ye seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
So it's not like when we were reading in Genesis, when we read about Lot. This is not that scenario. Because these men were not homosexuals. These were Benjamites. They were just wicked men. And how we know that? Because when the man brought out the concubine unto them, let's see what happened. Read.
Judges chapter 19 verse 26. Then came the woman.
Read the 25th verse.
Okay, verse 25. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
So they used her and abused her. If they didn't, if they like men, they wouldn't have touched her. They wouldn't have touched her. They used her and abused her. These are Benjamites. These were children of Israel. The chosen people of the Most High God. But it wasn't all Benjamites like that though. But we're going to see how one bad apple spoils the whole tree. Read.
Verse 26. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was light. And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up and gat him unto his place.
So these men, these Benjamite men, abused this man's concubine. Used this man's concubine to the point where she died. Okay, read.
Verse 29. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her, together with her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel.
So this man was sending a message. This Levite, who was a part of the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, because he was a Levite himself, he understood the laws of the Most High God. So he's like, okay, this is how Israel is going. This is what's going on here. He cut her in 12 pieces and gave each piece to each tribe, or one piece to each tribe. Read.
Verse 30. And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds.
Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. This was not supposed to be happening amongst the children of Israel. And this man cutting this woman up, nobody has never seen anything like that. They're like, what is this? What's going on here? What does this mean? We're going to find out. Read.
Judges chapter 20 verse 1. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead, unto the Lord in Mizpah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of the Most High, 400,000 footmen that drew sword.
So you had the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel. So even back then, the children of Israel had elders over them. If you had an elder, if you were an elder on the head of a tribe, nobody else in that tribe could do what they pleased. They had to first deal with that elder. And we're going to see how the elders were the ones that called the shots. And if the elders made a decree for all the other tribes to follow. If anybody didn't follow that decree in that tribe, penalty, death. That's how much power the elder had. Read.
Verse 3. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was this wickedness?
What happened here? Who did this? Read.
And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibeah that belongeth to Benjamin, I and my concubine to lodge. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine they have forced, that she is dead.
So when they were surrounding the house that the man was in, they wanted to actually kill him, because they knew that he wasn't from that tribe. They knew that he was a stranger, not knowing that he's there. That's their kin. So they didn't want to have relations with the man. They wanted to kill him. Why? Because we knew that they raped his concubine. So they liked the woman. Right? And we can see Benjamin today, you know, they bun it out, but no boogerism here. No, Benjamin don't deal with none of that. Especially in Jamaica, like, yeah, you know. So we can see that's not that scenario. These were wicked men. These were men that wanted to do evil. That were Benjamites among the children of Benjamin, or the tribe of Benjamin. Start from where you left off.
Book of Judges, chapter 20, verse 6. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel. For they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Behold, ye are all children of Israel. Give here your advice and counsel.
What should I do? What should be done about this matter? What should be done? Because we're all brothers here, but this is a folly. This is a sin. Read.
Verse 8. And all the people arose as one man, saying, we will not any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn into his house.
So when the scripture says, and all the people arose as one man, meaning they were all in one accord. They were all in one agreement. They all agreed that, listen, we're not going to go into our tents. We're not going to go into our house until this matter is resolved. Until we put away the evil from amongst the children of Israel. Read.
Verse 9. But now this shall be the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go up by lot against it, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that they may do when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel.
So this is why I say, when you got a couple of bad apples, spoil the whole tree. Because now, their brethren now, the other 11 tribes now, are saying, listen, all right, before anything happens here, listen, get the culprits, get those guilty men who committed this sin, and we'll deal with them. And everybody, the whole tribe of Benjamin is like, nah. So when that happens, guess what? And in today's society, when you and somebody, if somebody's going to go into a store and steal something, and you're there, and you don't steal, what do they call you? You're an accomplice. Right? So because they didn't want to give up these wicked and evil men, all the other 11 tribes said, okay, so you guys are accomplices then to this wickedness then. let's see what transpires. Read.
Book of Judges, chapter 20, verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel.
So they're ready. The children of Benjamin want to fight now, even though they know that they're wrong. They're wrong. Read.
And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew swords.
So 26,000 men the children of Benjamin had. Read.
Beside the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men.
So they had the strangers amongst them, which were 700 to add on to that 26,000. Valiant men that drew swords. Read.
Verse 16. Among all this people there went 700 chosen men left-handed. Everyone could sling stones at an air breadth and not miss.
So they were good with that slingshot. These men were left-handed, and that left hand could have sling a stone from a mile away and hit you right between the eyes. They were sharp. Read.
And the men of Israel, beside Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword. All these were men of war. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of the Most High and asked counsel of the Most High and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Most High said, Judah shall go up first.
So when you read verse 18, it's telling you how Benjamin was so outnumbered. Verse 17, it was telling you, and the men of Israel beside Benjamin were numbered 400,000. So you had all the other Israelites, 400,000 men altogether, while Benjamin had 26,700 men. Totally outnumbered. But let's see what Benjamin tried to do. Let's see Benjamin. Read.
Verse 19. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Most High until evening, and asked counsel of the Most High, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Most High said, go up against him.
So for the first battle where they tried to go up against Benjamin, Benjamin slew 22,000 men. And this is why when you read in Genesis 49, it tells you, they shall raven like the wolf. And when you read all throughout the scriptures, especially after the split, the warriors of the tribe of Judah, David's guard, were Benjamites. Benjamites could fight. They could fight. Even though they were outnumbered, they put the rest of the other tribes into flight, mainly Judah, because the Most High told Judah to go up against them first. And they put Judah to flight. Read from where you left off again. Start back again.
Book of Judges, chapter 20.
23.
Verse 23. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Most High until even, and asked counsel of the Most High, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Most High said, go up against him. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah that second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of the Most High, and wept, and sat there before the Most High, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Most High.
So there goes Benjamin again. Won another victory. Benjamin, they could fight. Right? Read.
And the children of Israel inquired of the Most High, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Most High said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand.
So every time the other tribes then would, before they would go to battle, they had to inquire of the Most High. If they ever went to battle without inquiring of the Most High, 99% of the time, they would lose. They would always have to go to the ark and deal with the priest then, and let the priest inquire of the Most High to give them permission to see if they should go up and fight or not. So this third time now, they're like, listen, we're getting beat here. You want us to go up again, or should we just stop? Because it ain't looking so good. The Most High is like, listen, go up. I'm going to deliver you into their hand this time. I'll deliver them into your hand this time. Go up. Read.
Judges chapter 20, verse 29. And Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times.
So when you read verse 29 and it says, and Israel set lairs in wait round about Gibeah, they started to make a trap for the children of Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin. They're like, listen, we're not just going to deal with them head on now. We're gonna think strategically now. Let's make a little trap for them now. Right? Read.
Verse 31. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to smite of the people and kill, as at other times.
So this is Benjamin killing again. They're on a killing streak now. Benjamin, yeah, we're gonna take this a third time. Right? Read.
In the highways, of which one goeth up to the house of the Most High, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. But the children of Benjamin said, They are smitten down before us, as at the first. But the children of Israel said, Let us flee, and draw them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place, and put themselves in array at Baltimore, and the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah.
Even out of the meadows of Gibeah. So what? The men them who were facing the tribe of the Israelites and who were facing the tribe of Benjamin head on was luring them from their city. While in wait at the city of Benjamin, you had Israelites there, hiding, encamping. So what the Israelites did, the other 11 tribes, they had men in front and they had men behind. Right? Read.
Verse 34. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore, but they knew not that evil was near them. And the Most High smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,000 and 100 men. All these drew the sword.
So take in mind, Benjamin only had 26,000 men. So 25,100 died. Right? Read that again.
Judges chapter 20, verse 35. And the Most High smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the children of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait, which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted, and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along, and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons. For they said, surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle.
So now it's giving you a recap now of really what transpired and showing you now in detail how Benjamin actually fell by the other Israelites. Read.
Verse 40. But when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven.
So that was the sign. The tribes them that was laying in wait at the city of Gibeah. The signal was for them to start a fire. When Benjamin was being lured away from the city, the signal was to the tribes that was in front dealing with Benjamin. The signal was for the man at the back to say, listen, start the fire. When you guys start the fire, the Benjamites are going to see it, and they're going to want to run back to the city to go save it. And while Benjamin did that now, it got them disoriented now. Because now they forgot that you had people in front of you now. Now you're going to run from these people now and have your backs turned to them. And now you have men now, an army that you're running right into. So this distracted the tribe of Benjamin. And this is why they lost. But continue.
Verse 41. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trode them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sunrising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon. And they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men.
So 18,000 men fell. It's just a recap of how they came to the 26,000. First, 18,000 men fell, then 5,000. Read.
And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gidom, and slew 2,000 men of them.
So 18,000 plus 5,000 plus 2,000. Right there you have 25,000 men. Read.
So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor. But 600 men turned and fled into the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city as the beast, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
So follow me here and stick with me, because it's important now that we get this that we read now to see now what leads up to what some Israelite groups will call rape, and show that, listen, it's legal. We have to get this whole context and see the whole scenario to be able to see why certain things transpire. Okay? Read.
Judges chapter 21 verse 1. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, there shall not any of us give his daughter unto Benjamin to wife. And the people that came to the house of the Most High, and abode there till even before the Most High, and lifted up their voices and wept sore.
So all the elders then came together and said, listen, yo, none of us are going to give our daughters to Benjamin. None of us. Only 600 men of them left. Let them die. They're dead serious. But let's see what happens. Read.
And said, O Most High Power of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Israel? And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose early and built there an altar and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Most High? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to the Most High to Mizpah, saying, He shall surely be put to death.
So all the elders made a decree to say, listen, when we go to war against the tribe of Benjamin, who don't come up to war? Who don't come up to fight? They're going to die. So after everything was all said and done now, they were like, okay, let's check the records to see who didn't come up. Who didn't help fight with us? Read.
Verse 6. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, There is one tribe cut off from Israel this day. How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing we have sworn by the Most High that we will not give them of our daughters to wives?
So even though Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, committed a sin, and everything was said and done, and 25,000 men were slaughtered of the tribe of Benjamin, the other tribes them still had compassion, knowing that, you know what, this was their brother. And yes, we did all make an agreement to not give none of our daughters to these men that remain for wives. Let's read.
Verse 8. And they said, What one is there of the tribes of Israel that came not up to Mizpah to the Most High? And behold, there came none to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly.
Okay, so in this particular part of the land, Jabesh Gilead, you had certain Israelites there that didn't come up to fight. Let's see what happened to them. Read.
Judges chapter 21 verse 9. For the people were numbered, and behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. And the congregation sent thither 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, Go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children. And this is the thing that ye shall do. Ye shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that hath lain by man.
So you shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that has lain with man. Read.
And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man by lying with any male.
Read that part again.
And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins.
400 young unmarried women of marriageable age, whether married or not. What?
That had known no man by lying with him.
That had known no man. You see how the two of them are together? You see? You see the context? How we're supposed to use, how that virgin can be used in? It can be used in different contexts. You just have to know the proper context, how to use it. Right? Read.
And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man by lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp to Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them. And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives which they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead, and yet so they sufficed them not.
So the 400 virgins that the children of Israel were able to get from Jabesh Gilead that hadn't been touched by man or had not known any man, they were like, okay, you know, we're going to give these women to Benjamin. But Benjamin didn't want them. The 400 man was like, no. Why? Read 14 for me again.
Judges chapter 21 verse 14. And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives.
And they gave them wives. Read.
They gave them wives which they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead, And yet so they sufficed them not.
And yet so they sufficed them not. They were pleased. They didn't want them. Right? Like, who wouldn't want a virgin? Who hasn't been touched by any other man? Right? Read.
Verse 15. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that the Most High had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, How shall we do for wives for them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, There must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel.
So the other tribes them still want to preserve Benjamin. They still wanted to preserve that tribe. But they were trying their very best to do it and bringing them 400 virgins. But you have to remember, Benjamin had 600 men that still remained. They brought them 400 virgins. So you had 200 men on the side with no woman. Right? So, you know, Benjamin is like, yo, what? Walk to me. Right? Okay? So that was the reason why. Because not every man had a woman. And guess what that would have caused? That would have caused adultery. That would have caused fornication. That would have caused murder and covetousness. Because you have this brother now over there now looking at this brother's wife saying, yeah, when he's not looking, I'm going to deal with her. You know what I'm saying? So that was actually righteous. That was actually righteous. Some people would say, well, 400 virgins, they're stupid. No, that was righteous because not every man had a wife. Continue.
Judges chapter 21 verse 18. Howbeit we may not give them wives of our daughters, for the children of Israel have sworn, saying, Cursed be he that giveth a wife to Benjamin.
So this was an oath that all of them swore by. They're like, listen, we made this oath. Cursed be the man of any other tribe that give his daughter to Ben. Curse, you're gonna be cursed.
You're gonna be killed.
Right? So they already made this oath, even though now they're feeling compassion for the tribe of Benjamin. They know they made an oath now, which they can't go back on, whether they like it or not. Let's see what happens. Read.
Verse 19. Then they said, Behold, there is a feast of the Most High in Shiloh yearly, in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south of Lebanon.
So when you look at Shiloh, Shiloh was a landmass. Shiloh was actually a holy place. And Shiloh was in the land of Ephraim. But all the children of Israel would go up onto Shiloh because Shiloh was a holy place that they kept festivals unto the Most High every year. But that land belonged to the children of Ephraim. Right? Read.
Verse 20. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, Go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and see and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come ye out of the vineyards and catch you every man his
And catch
wife.
you who?
And catch you every man
Catch
his
you only
wife.
400 men.
And catch you every man his wife.
So now every man now has an opportunity to get a wife. But let's see now, because this is the part where these Israelite groups go to and say, you see, catch you every man his wife. Catch, you see? He's catching, he's taking. Let's see really what the scriptures is saying. Read.
Judges chapter 21 verse 21. And see and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, then come ye out of the vineyards, and catch you every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when their fathers or their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them.
What are they going to say unto them? Read.
We will say unto them, Be favorable unto them for our sakes, because we reserve not to each man his wife in the war.
We killed off all their women. Read.
For ye did not give unto them at this time, that ye should be guilty.
So you're not going against the oath. Why? Because the oath was none of the other tribes would take their daughters and give it to them. Give it to the tribe of Benjamin. But if the 600 men of the tribe of Benjamin would catch and take the wives, the men them wouldn't be breaking any oath. So now the elders are them saying, listen, when this thing is going to happen, when these men find out that 600 of their women are missing, they're going to come to the elders of these other tribes and say, yo, Benjamin just stole 600 of our women. What's going on here? He's going to say, listen, be favorable, have mercy on them. Because yes, remember we made an oath that we weren't supposed to take our wives and give it to them. So we're not breaking the oath. If we don't do that, we're not breaking the oath. But if they're taking and acquiring the wives for themselves, we're still good with our oath. And Benjamin can be able to have wives now to reproduce, have offsprings now, and become a tribe again. Start from the verse 22, please.
Book of Judges, chapter 21, verse 22. And it shall be when their fathers or their brethren come unto us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable unto them for our sakes, because we reserve not to each man his wife in the war. For ye did not give unto them at this time, that ye should be guilty. And the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives, according to their number, of them that danced, whom they caught. And they went and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them.
So, now, when a man is going to go and take a woman and force her, what, in that instance, it's the man devising this scenario in his mind. When a man is going to rape a woman, he's devising to do this by himself in his mind. When we're reading this now, who came up with this plan? Was it the tribe of Benjamin? It was the elders then of the other tribes, instructing the tribe of Benjamin how to acquire wives, so that they would continue on as a tribe. Now, this is not rape. This is not rape. This is not rape. But these other Israelite camps now will try to use it to say, yeah, it's okay for us to take a woman and force her to do anything that we would want to do to them. No, you can't use this to justify that evil deed. You can't use this scripture, because you have the elders there instructing the tribe of Benjamin and letting them know, okay, listen, we can't give you our daughters, but we know a way how you can get wives. Do this. The elders then were instructing them and letting them know, listen, you messed up, but we're going to help you. We ain't going to give you our daughters though, but you're going to get wives. This is how you do it. So that's not rape. So anytime you hear any one of these Israelites, well, this one camp would come up now and try to use this, you would automatically know, okay, have the understanding of really now what this is really talking about. Finish what you have there. Finish what you have there. We'll break down some more.
Book of Judges, chapter 21, verse 24. And the children of Israel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe and to his family, and they went out from thence every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes.
So there was no king in Israel. No king. There was just judges. Who were the judges? The elders. Okay, so this is another scenario now I'm using to say, okay, you can't apply this to rape. I'm just trying to show you this scripture is not rape. Okay, now let's see what rape is. Let's go to a scripture now and see rape. Let's go. Let's go to 2 Samuel 13. Let's see rape. And let's see what happens when you do that. 2 Samuel chapter 13. And we're going to start from the first verse.
The book of 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin.
There goes that word virgin again. I'm going to come back to that though. But continue.
And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man.
So he was a very cunning man. He used his brains. Alright, read.
And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister.
So even though they had the same fathers, they had different mothers. So you had this brother, one of David's son, that was infatuated with his sister, who was from another mother, and he was daydreaming about her day and night. He would just get sick thinking, just fall ill because he just wanted to be with her. Read.
Verse 5. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick.
So pretend that you're sick. Read.
And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down, and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes.
So I can picture this brother right now, laying on his bed, pretending that he's sick, and just watching this woman work, and he be just mad. Yeah. I'm gonna get it just now. You know, this is how he was sick. He was sick up here. He was just out of his mind just to have those kind of feelings for his own sister, knowing that, listen, Israel, there was Israelites all over the land. You could have got a woman from any tribe. This brother wanted his sister, the daughter of his father. Okay, read.
2 Samuel chapter 13 verse 9. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all the men from me. And they went out every man from him.
So the sister's probably like, what's going on here? Why is everybody leaving the room? And it's just me and you. Read.
And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me.
So she's screaming out. She's crying. She's saying, no, don't force me. She don't want to do. She's not consenting to this. She's letting it be known. No. Read.
And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel.
No such thing ought to be done in Israel. Read.
Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee.
So she's giving him a way out. She said, listen, you love me so bad, go to my father. Go to your father. And yeah, you give me. You give me to you. Give me to you. Right? Read.
Verse 14. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone.
So he raped her to the point now, she was not even enjoying it. She was like, nah. And just him probably seeing that, he was like, man, what have I done? And to the point where now he ended up eating her now, because he thought that now he would have humbled her now, where she would have just conformed to him now and just want to have relations with him. But she was like, nah. She was like totally turned off. Right? Read.
Verse 16. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me.
No, she's like, listen, you sending me away now is more worse than you raping me now. Because guess what? It's going to be found out now. Because if I go take a man, because going back to it now, remember, going back to 13 and 2, 2 Samuel chapter 13 verse 2. She was a virgin. She was of the king's daughter. I'm going to go on that. Continue reading though.
But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her.
Read.
And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled.
Okay, so she was royalty. This is David's daughter. She is royalty, and she had a special robe on of different colors. For that was for everybody to know that she was a virgin. She was a young unmarried woman. But also it meant that she had not known any man. This is why she said to Amnon, you sending me away now is more greater than you raping me. Why? Now if I go find a husband now, guess what? They're going to know that I already had relations. Now I can be killed. Because this Israel was still dealing with the customs of the token. And guess who would be killed too? Amnon would be killed. So she was telling him, like, listen, it's better if we just deal. Even though I hate your guts though, but just for us to live. And that's why I say this virgin now, this word virgin, you have to know when to use it in the proper context. How? Why do I say that? What we got? Let's go into the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. I'm going to share something with you.
This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. It's under virgin. First definition, it reads, a young unmarried woman. Second definition, it reads, it is also used figuratively to personify a city or a state. Next definition, a young woman of marriageable age.
A young woman of marriageable age. Read.
Whether married or not.
Whether married or not. Continue.
Only the context can give it the force virgin.
Read that again.
Only the context can give it the force virgin.
See that? Only the context can give it the... So you have to know how to use that word virgin in the proper context. That's why I say now the scenario with Mary now, with the virgin, we know it's not talking about she not laying with man. We know it's not talking about in that context. Why? Because we know, according to the scriptures, that she had relations with Joseph before she did the customs. She was espoused to him, meaning that she was engaged to becoming his wife. So we know that in that scenario, virgin meant a young unmarried woman of marriageable age, whether married or not. In this context now, we got a virgin now. We can know that this virgin now is a daughter of a king. She did not know any man, even though the scripture don't say that though. But we can take that from him. Because the king's daughters then, ain't no man gonna be able to just take the king's daughters then and just lie with them just like that. Especially if they're not if they're not in that circle of the king. The king's daughters then were well protected. You see how who was able to take advantage of the king's daughter? Who? The king's own son. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the context. You have to use that word virgin now to say, okay, this means it's a young unmarried woman. Even though it doesn't say she's not been touched, no man has dealt with her, though, we can take that from her. Why? By looking in the context to let him know that, listen, when she says so in verse 16, don't do this. You putting me away now is worse than you raping me. Why? Because she understood now what the penalties were going to, what would be now, especially now if she found a man now that wanted to be her husband. She know that there wouldn't be no blood coming down on the token. Now, that would have set red flags off for David. And David would have to follow the law and stone her. Why? Because now she's become a public example. So I'm saying you have to know how to use that word in the proper context. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out. So I said, who don't understand that? Because I know it's going to fly over some people's heads though. But it's clear that once you really understand it. All right, we'll continue. Let's finish and see what happens here. Start from verse 16 again. Let's go through that again, please.
It's the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 13. It's the 16th verse. And she said unto him, there is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him and said, put now this woman out from me and bolt the door after her.
Lock the door. I don't want to see her again. Read.
And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her, for which with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparel. Mm-hmm. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. Mm-hmm. And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her and laid her hand on her head and went on crying. And Absalom her brother said unto her, hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister, he is thy brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house.
So Absalom found out. Absalom found out what happened. So he's like, listen, don't worry about this. I'm going to deal with it, bro. Don't say anything to nobody. Regard your brother. Just be at peace with him for now. Read.
Verse 21. But when King David heard all of these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spoke unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. For Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass after 2 full years, that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baalhazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons.
So for 2 full years, Absalom was planning to kill Amnon. Holding it. His sister, Tamar, was just in his house, staying with him for 2 years. And Absalom was like, yeah, I'm going to get him today. He's dying today. 2 years good. I know exactly how I'm going to kill him now. Read.
And Absalom came to the king and said, behold now, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not bless him.
So the king himself didn't want to go to this invitation that Absalom was sending out to him. The king was like, listen, you go. I'm gonna chill. Read.
Then said Absalom, if not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us.
Let Amnon come. Please. Let him come. Bring it. I wish Amnon was there. I love Amnon. Please, if anyone, you got to allow Amnon to come. Anybody else, please, Amnon got to be there. He's the life of the party. Right? Read.
Then said Absalom, if not, I pray thee, Let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee?
Why should Amnon go with you? What's going on here? Right? Read.
But Absalom pressed him that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine.
So when you see Amnon getting tipsy and, reaching to that point of drunkenness with wine, what?
And when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him, fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant.
So these were Absalom's servants. Whatever he told them to do, they have to do. Read.
And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man got him up upon his mule and fled.
So when they see Amnon fall dead with a knife in his back, they're like, yo, hey, the drunkenness just wore out. Like, what happened here? Hey, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I'm out. I'm gone. Everybody, like, listen, I don't know what happened. I don't know who killed Amnon, but it wasn't me. You can just picture it and see. Everybody's like, yeah, don't even touch it. Just pretend you weren't even here. You know what I'm saying? Read.
2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 30. And it came to pass while they were in the way that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left.
There's somebody who heard about this now ain't carrying the news straight. He's like, yeah, Absalom killed all your sons. He killed everybody. Everybody that he invited, he killed. Right? So, David must have been losing his head like, what? What's going on here? Read.
And the king arose and tare his garments and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men, the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom, this hath been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar.
So now David is finding out why now, and finding out that it's not all of his sons died, but it was only Amnon. And this is the reason why Absalom killed Amnon, or ordered the hit on Amnon. Finding out that Amnon raped his own sister Tamar. Read.
Verse 33.
32? Yeah, actually 33, you're right.
That's 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 33. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead.
So Amnon was the only one that got killed. Everybody else is alive. Read.
But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind them. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come, as thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing that he was dead.
So Absalom was like, yeah, after this, I know I can't go back home. This is it. And he understood now. Absalom understood all the customs to know that, listen, when a man slay a man, especially for a righteous cause, he can able to go into a city of refuge. That's what he did. And he was able to take refuge for some time. I'm going to stop here. You can read on your own time and get the whole gist because it goes into more. Right? So, just showing you now, this is rape. And who died? The rapist. Amnon. Okay. Going back to Deuteronomy 22 again. Showing you now the penalty. Alright? 25. Deuteronomy 22 and 25. This is the law. This is the law. Read 22 and 25 for me concerning 2 Samuel 13 with Amnon and Tamar. Read that.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
So, mind you, we know that Tamar wasn't betrothed. Alright? So we can eliminate that part though. But everything still stands. But read.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her.
And this is the scenario that happened with Tamar. She cried out. She said, no, I don't want this.
But she's in his house, so, and his servants, so nobody does it.
You know what I'm saying? And nobody was there to help her. So now, this is Absalom now seeing the sin. And the Most High is executing judgment upon Amnon through Absalom. That's rape. This is where we can look now and call rape. But guess what? That Israelite camp would never go to that scripture. Why? That scripture would confound their doctrine. Scripture would not back up their so-called doctrine where they try to spin Judges 19, 20, and 21. So, are we allowed to rape as the children of Israel or any other nation other than the children of Israel? No. Because even if you go outside, even in today's society, and you rape a woman, what's going to happen? Right? Look at Bill Cosby. Well, I'm not saying that he did anything to any of these women. Right? Listen, me personally, hey, back in the 60s and the 70s, there was drugs, free sex. Right? Everybody was peace and love. Right?
Well, with all that money, did he really have to do all that? That's a different story.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So, you can see how Bill Cosby's catching fire now for whatever happened in his younger days. But we know that in today's society, if any man willfully goes out and tries to, have sexual relations with a woman and forcing her against her own will, you can go to jail for that. You will be punished. So, the children of Israel is not supposed to be raping. We're not supposed to be taking 9-year-old girls to be our wives. Okay? Like, I heard one of these brothers was saying, a brother was asking one of these brothers from the camp saying, well, if you had a daughter that was 12, and then one of your other brothers that just grabbed your 12-year-old daughter and started to have relations to her, what are you going to do? Just stand there and watch? And this brother was like, well, hey, that's the scriptures. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, any of my brothers them that I congregate with, touch my 12-year-old, listen, that's it, no more. Brother, I love you. Done. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. I don't expect me to go to any of my brothers, them daughters, and force myself upon them and expect my brother not to do anything.
What about your wife killing you?
I'm not even mentioning that yet.
Madness.
You know what I'm saying? So no, rape is out of the question. Taking 9-year-old girls or 12-year-old girls, I don't even care if they're at the flower of their age. There's a proper way of doing things. If you find you're a man up in age and you want something more tender or younger, listen, go to the Father. If the father says it's okay, then guess what? That's your permission. But if the father says no, kick rocks. Right? Simple.
Yeah.
So, no rape in Israel. No raping. Okay? So, you know, don't worry. Some of you will be seeing a reply about this lesson soon by the other camp. Right? But as I said, it has to go out there. This has to go out there so that, because we have got a lot of young brothers and sisters that are going to hear these brothers spewing all that mess every week and thinking that it's okay. Because this brother is going to bring out a scripture now and twist it and make it think that it's okay for men to rape women. Okay, so that's what I wanted to, you know, go into and, you know, be able to just break it down so that everybody could have the understanding. So if you do hear that doctrine, guess what? You will know exactly how to deal with this person who's bringing that, and know exactly what the scriptures is really saying. Okay? So, with that, shalom. If there's any questions, feel free.